Oscar from Wessex Blades. Bit of a summation of the bushcraft show this year. Don't worry, I'll just do an honest review. Compared with last year, the venue itself, what occurred, it seemed more spread out. It wasn't obviously a big arse field like it was beforehand. This allowed you to have your own little set mood with the people that you were gathered with. When I turned up, obviously I'm a day late, because of course, if you remember me, the car went too well. So I turns up on a Saturday, and got my the ticket and pass and everything. And the steward marshal guys were absolutely brilliant, because from one connection to the other about where I'm going to meet Will, and I haven't actually rung him up yet, because someone said go see him in a minute and you can make he took me all up one way and I had to follow him all down, and they were all pretty damn patient with it. So located Will, and you could say it was cramped, you could say it was a bit tight. It didn't really come across much more congested than a campsite that was packing them in August, to be quite honest. Stick your car next to your gaff, and then it's up to us. It's up to us to be responsible. So you don't put pine and spitty bits of paper in your wood stove, so you don't fire up a great load of flammable sparky material that's still alight, you know. We're all going to have to be vigilant, we're all going to have to be careful. Not hardly anybody put a newspaper in order to start the fires off, so there wasn't great clouds of burnt, you know, when the newspaper's still grey and floating and embering as it's blowing in the wind. There wasn't really any problems with that. We got round it. It was fine. It was absolutely fine. Obviously, because they opened up one field and that filled up, and then he opened up another field and that filled up. You know, then he opened up a few tracks and they put a few in there. You know, they're reacting to how many people are coming. Most people ended up quite a fair way away. And then once again, marshals were pretty open to suggestions. Now they did have a golf cart there. Now in terms of ferrying people about, let's just say, oh, stupid me, you know, I've offered someone 35 quid for an anvil and could you give us a lift back to my car. The fact that they had a golf cart there was quite a good curveball. It didn't work, but that didn't stop them oiking it into a trailer to try and give a ride. You know, they're pretty flexible. But if they had a golf cart for people on crutches, or, you know, just had their knee done, like they come off a motorbike 3 weeks before, and it's alright, we can get you to the show, you can manage to get round and then give us a blow and we'll come back and pick you up. Golf cart like that, just a shame it didn't work. What else? The stalls, and you know, they had the kids assault course. There was kids pigeon processing, there was deer processing, there was people doing flint knapping, there was people making the axe heads. You know, there was plenty to keep people occupied for the little kiddies. There was that Dutch gentleman who sat down doing all the paracord things by Pyrocrafts Canterbury. So, you know, from sort of 4 or 5 years old and upwards, there was plenty for kids to do. The usual thing with me was I was so busy meeting people, chatting with people, talking knives, didn't really get around to doing any of that. You know, it's not the reason that the majority of the YouTube crew go to. It's, we've been seeing each other on camera for nigh on 10 months. We might have been at a prepper meet, we might have been to the gathering, wilderness gathering, but it's one chance where we could all actually get together and meet up. share ideas and show kit, and it's nice and that. So as it's more of a rendezvous. When the old mountain men used to get together once a year and sell all their pelts and that. That's our rendezvous. And by the time that Bazzacrew had a flag up, or Camp Shaky had a flag, or there's a vehicle we recognise, we generally manage to sort of catch up with each other and say hello. Now, in terms of facilities, toilets seem to be okay. The showers are there. The skips round the back were a damn sight better than the bins that we all had to do at the end last time. It's just obvious. There's a bit more room in that. Perhaps jump in and push it out a bit or something. Skips. Early in, off we go. I don't see any rubbish anywhere, so we're all acting like adults. So that, plenty of contingency there for the capacity of the people. There was toilets down by the front entrance. It was quite convenient for us. I don't know how close they were for the people who ended up on the forest tracks. I mean, there's a fair bit, but you're on the way to the show anyway. And families were able to use the showers. As far as I could see, it was all working out okay. Maybe a bit cold, but we're roughing it. I thought the ease of getting there was pretty good, as well signposted. For me, Bath, Bristol way, up the M4, stop, bring the car back, up the M4, M5, catch the M42 for your view line, went underneath Birmingham, and then caught like an A444 or something off the M42. And by the time I went down a few country lanes, Bushcraft show was there, signposted. Follow the signs, doddle. And we were only like 10 minutes away from the main A38, I think it was. So in terms of getting there, middle of the country, there's no point having it in Cornwall. There's no point having it up in Scotland. It's pretty reasonable for everybody to get there from all around the country. But I found it simpler in my brain to come off the M42, and I thought, well, so that was cool. And as I say, being able to park your car near your tent. You drive the car there once, done. As opposed to a car park where everybody's driving in and out and in and out and churning it all up. We didn't have the moon buggies tearing around like we did last year. The guys on the doom buggies, or it's like a ATV thing, were just pop, 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 pop. Made a world of difference. They weren't tearing around like a load of teenagers. It was very good. So lovely, to be quite honest. There was a bit of a gap in terms of YouTubers turning up, and I think a lot of that is that between us, the Funky, Roach, the Camp Bazzacrew, Forrest Prepper did it himself. He arranged a big venue. You don't bother with the stall holders, and for 15 quid for a weekend, we all get together and do what we do, which is, practice cooking a different way, or have a little play with a bit of carving. Stony broke with his staffs. We all just get together and rendezvous. That's what we go out doing the bushcraft, or we go out do the knife making, or if we go out do our leather work like Ron Swanson. We're all doing our stuff through the year. And when we get together, we're not necessarily going there for bushcraft. There's a hell of a lot more than bushcraft. There's survivalism, there's prepping, there's leathercraft, there's knife making, and there's so many facets to the self-reliance sort of theory doing stuff, that we've got so many faces that can come together that are not necessarily bushcraft, you know what I mean? So the fact that we didn't have Roach or Funky or Zed or Big Dog or Sparky Steve, it's not that they necessarily shunning the show. It's just that for the few people that are YouTube and skilled in a certain way to get together to meet up, the bushcraft show ticket at £100 it is quite a bit, because you've got to get your fuel and everything else. And obviously the show is paying for people like Lofty and people like the really well show guy Backshaw. It's those sort of things that have to be paid for. You know, Shoes toilet block have to be paid for. 5 marshals have to be paid for, and that's why the show at the price it is the price that it is. But saying that, if there's a bigger YouTube community contingent core that go there, there could be more people that would go there. Okay, so quite how it's going to run next year, I know that there's quite a bit of a stir in order that there's going to be not necessarily an official YouTube or Facebook or you know, or the media based people that were out there sharing knife making, paracord wrapping, leather work, bushcraft skills, wilderness reliance skills, prepping skills, and all those sort of people that were all out creating our own material, being our own film crew, doing our own marketing. That, you know, when we actually get together, we're creating almost a miniature show in ourselves. The amount of times that I meet one person, I'd roll out my knives and then I'd gather a few people round. I'm not stopping people from moving around like there's that big a gaggle of people, you know, in a big sort of hoop like that. It's not that. It's that someone, not necessarily with my skills of an education, but I can cater for people from 6 or 7 years old right up to 90. You know, I just drop into key stage 2, boom, I can talk to you as an adult. Not everybody needs to be that varied in their approach or delivery. So if there was, you know, a meeting point, or just the fact that they all knew that we're together, I'm not adverse to, okay, putting myself in for a CRB check. It's slightly different now, it's a CC check or something or other. And they can take my name and they can put me through the thing. I'm going to pass. I was running school for 11 years, you know. And then literally doing questions and answers for 2 hours in a tent or a stall somewhere. If they got power, I'll take a little mini grinder up and give demos. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Just broke your chair. Alright. All year round, I'm already answering questions, answering emails, putting myself out left, right and centre, in order that this, not necessarily industry, but this core of skills, knowledge and personality gets more coverage, becomes bigger, becomes more stable, gets more momentum. Even at the end of the day, if we're looking at it a bit money wise, there's more knife makers, so we get more stuff brought into the country, so we bloody my carter's cheaper. You know, it's not just that, but there's other things that will come back to us because we're a bigger presence in the community. We're a bigger presence in England, we're a bigger presence in the British Isles. You know, there's hunters, there's deer stalkers, there's people who go out rabbit hunting, there's people who shoot pigeons, there's people who use catapults, there's people who use atlatls. And if as a core we get bigger, we'll have more influence. And all I've ever done is try and offer myself, offer my skills, offer my opinions, crazy ways of doing it. The knowledge is given out, you know. Now I don't charge for it, I just give it. Now the upshot of it is there's people out there who want to give back to me. Now I'm not doing it, you know, in order of that, but I got no problem with the Bushcraft show next year if they want to book me in second day, half a morning, and I'm doing questions and answers. Not adverse to it. never wouldn't be. But you know, it's a chance for people to come in and experience, you know, meeting up with me, getting their questions sorted out. Maybe they're, you know, they're struggling on something like plunge lines, or they're struggling on finishing handles, or they're struggling on the lever work. You know, for lever, well, that's Lee. Now he does do a day. You know, pop in for the day. Even if he just pops in, says hello, and people meet him. You know, he's caused a bit of a stir. Someone that you've only seen on the screen, now you actually meet the guy. Just see what I mean? So, quite how receptive Bushcraft magazine, Bushcraft show are for. There's some suggestions got to get put forward to them. Well, I'm up for it. No worry. As long as I can get there. You know, even car went down. I still somehow managed it. My wife just turned her weekend upside down for me. Things happen, okay? So, Bushcraft show this year. It's great. Bit of rain. We're not on about the rain, the weather. It was the organisation. It was a bit cramped. We dealt with it. You know, it could have been less cramped, and we could have all been a load of bloody idiots. We could have been putting stuff in the fires and setting fire to everything. If we were stupid, but we weren't. You know what I mean? If we were all slightly more spaced out, and we all came back from the main tent, drunk to the 9 hills, tripping over guidelines, ripping tents. As far as I'm aware, we all behaved ourselves. There's families there, there's old people there, there's people with dogs, we're all getting right. I didn't hear any trouble. We just got on with it and we dealt with it. We did great. So, you know, I'm a lot happier coming back from the show this year, even though my car had blown up. Yeah, the atmosphere of the first one for me was incredible, because you know, it wasn't something I'd ever think I'd ever get to, and Zed was able to give me the ticket. For this one, I actually was with Will, so I was his +1. Once again, I wouldn't actually consider going, because as someone, I wouldn't say I'm experienced, but what's on there, you know, the axe making, well, you do that here. The paracord rapid, do that here. You see, do that here. It's meeting people, it's seeing them, it's experiencing them, it's getting your questions answered, it's actually putting, as I heard from Will, it's flesh on the bones of the people, these personalities that are on the YouTube, and that's why people like me go there. But it's whether you can understand that people may go there to maybe meet nutters like me and everything else at the show. So I think that whether it all picks up in next year, I don't know, but hopefully see you again next year. I'd love to go again, and it's great. Book your ticket, book early. There's a reduction. It's got Wessex laid out. Broken toe. Something else I've got to fix. Yeah.